Say hi to the people, Autumn. Good doge. Let's drive. So, this is going to be labeled Tekken Kazuya, not Tekken 8 Kazuya, because I feel like this is a topic that has been unchanged for 24 years, at least from my outsider's perspective. I'm going to preface this video a little bit by saying that I am not a Kazuya main. I lack the technical skills to be able to do electrics consistently, let alone perfect electrics. And even if I could, I still wouldn't pick Kazuya for reasons we're just about to delve into here. So to talk about this conversation, I'm actually going to recount for you a conversation I had back in 1999 in reference to Tekken Tag 1, or back in those days we just called it Tag. So, in reference to Tag, let me set the stage a little bit here. Like I said, the year was 1999, maybe 2000, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm sitting in Denny's, somewhere around midnight, and across the booth from me is none other than Slips and Unconkable. So there's some name dropping to give me some street cred, but no, this really did happen. And we're having a good convo about Tekken, because I was new to their Tekken circle at the time, and I feel like they're feeling me out a little bit of a knowledge check through conversation there while we were sipping our coffees, enjoying our grand slams. The question came up from Slips and Unconkable to me, who is the best character, in your opinion, in Tag? And there was some debate between the top players on this, and I'd read much about it, and I had experienced much of it as well. And so I knew the accepted answers were generally Jin, Ogres, Devil. That was pretty much it. Some people made room for Hayachi as well, because he did have an electric, and that wasn't nothing. But still, those are generally the accepted answers. And so I stuck to that. And I was in the Jin belief camp. So I said, it's somewhere in the frame of Jin, Ogre, Devil, and I personally put Jin as the top of that. And they nodded, they accepted my answer, and then they fired back saying, so you wouldn't say Kazuya's the top? And the question puzzled me so much that I'm pretty sure I made a face similar to, and responded with, no, of course not. I would never put Kazuya at the top of Tag. And the very question threw me back a bit. I'm like, you're Slips, you're Unconkable, you know this game far better than I do. Surely you know damn well that Kazuya is not at the top of the tier list here. Why would you even frame such a question? So we start firing back and forth questions and evidence to support our claims. They start by talking about Kazuya and some of his punishing abilities, how good he is at punishing. He has wall rising 1-2, a 13 frame mid punisher. He can launch people with this, and he can launch lows that are minus 13. At that time, no one else in the game could do that. This is a trait unique to Kazuya. Wow, what a huge thing that is. But I fired back, yeah, when it works. Oftentimes, due to spacing or due to low profiling, one of the two punches of Wall Rising 1-2 just completely whiff. And that loss of momentum, now, it's like you not only did you lose your chance at punishment, but now you've lost your turn. Now you're back on being on the defense again. And you could say the same thing about his Wall Rising 2. His Wall Rising 2 is supposed to be this massive punishment move that gut, does a heap of damage. They're gut stunned. You can comfortably land a Wind God Fist for launch, and it's like one of the heaviest damaging punishers in the game when it works. Again, oftentimes due to being off axis, low profiling, or not being close enough to get the clean hit property. It would hit and it would hurt, but it didn't stun. They just got hit, and that was the end. so his punishment ability, while something that was supposed to be a hallmark of the character, actually turned on its head. It was one of the worst things about the character, which was an interesting thing. And and then they're like, what about he's got forward 2. If you land forward 2 on a ducking opponent, you can get a wind godfist. And what about his down forward 2? If you get that on counter hit, you can get a perfect wind godfist off that too. You tag that out to Bruce and get like 70% red damage off your combo. And again, I fired back, but yeah, when it works. No one's consistent enough to land perfect wind godfist off a counter hit down forward 2 to make that a thing. 9 times out of 10, you end up getting some little floaty juggle that does jack out of it. And so what is supposed to be, again, a strength of Kazuya ends up being so restricted by technicality that it's unusable, and he ends up being a worse than average character because of it. And I fired back with things that, like, yes, they both have hell sweeps, but Jin's leads to a mini juggle, while Kazuya's does mild to moderate damage. Jin has got mid pokes. Kazuya not only doesn't have great lows, he doesn't even have good mid pokes either. So what the hell does this character have? He's got an electric, he's got a flash punch combo, and then a whole bunch of moves that have either technical problems or are just strictly worse than other characters and moves in their respects. So, and that was kind of the phrasing of the conversation there. And the reason why I say this, I bring this conversation up, is because I feel like this is a conversation that you could have to this very day, not about Tag Jin and Kazuya, but about Tekken 8 Jin and Kazuya. There's still so many things that, I guess Devil Jin, I should say. There's still so many things that Kazuya is supposed to be good at, but Jin or Devil Jin just do better. Kazuya still lacks, he still has all these problematic issues with his moves where they don't function as intended, and even if they did, he still has massive holes in his game plan, so that even if you were 100% technically sound with him, even if you could get around these issues with things not working the way you're supposed to, you still have a character with holes in it. And so I still feel like Kazuya is an incomplete character. He's back in the olden days of Tag 1, they basically introduced a whole bunch of Tekken 2 characters with a few little buffs, some new moves, updated graphics to them, obviously, but most of them were not complete characters. Baek was not a complete character to Horong. Bruce was not a complete character to Brian, and Kazuya was not a complete character to Jin. And that's still the same conversation you could have today, 24 years later. So that's my perspective of Kazuya across Tekken's lifespan. Again, from an outsider's perspective, and for what it's worth, Slips Uncomfortable, if you ever see this video, thank you for taking me under your wing, and I learned a lot about the game under your tutelage. I remember whenever we were playing Tekken 4 and you guys are basically trying to get me to stop playing that game and play Tag instead, and Uncomfortable played Lee, and you just launched me once and infinite juggle me over and over and over again, round after round. Didn't matter what stage, didn't matter what the circumstance, it's infinite juggle me, didn't matter if I had a full life bar or nothing. I was dead. One launch, I was dead, and yeah, that was enough for me to hang up my Tekken 4 boots and go back to Tag 1. So I had a great experience learning under you too. So if you ever see this video, hope life is treating you well. Ending.